There's something in your fridge right now that might not be what you think it is. It looks like butter. It's priced like butter. But read the label and you'll find emulsifiers, stabilizers, artificial flavorings and preservatives that have no business anywhere near your morning toast. Today we're exposing 5 brands that we feel are quietly passing themselves off as something they're not, and celebrating 5 that are still doing things properly. Number 5, Anchor Spreadable. Let's start with one that stings a bit because Anchor has a genuinely good reputation. Their block butter, the straightforward salted one in the yellow wrapper, is the real deal. Cream and salt, 2 ingredients. No problems. But walk past that and pick up the Anchor Spreadable, and you'll find something rather different. Butter is still in there, which is a start, 50% of it in fact, but alongside that comes rapeseed oil, water, salt, and then the one that shouldn't be there, beta-carotene, a colour. They're adding colour to butter to make it look more like butter. Think about that for a moment. Real butter gets its yellow colour naturally from the beta-carotene already present in the grass that the cows eat. The deeper the yellow, the more time those cows have spent on good pasture. If your butter needs a colouring agent to look yellow, to us, this doesn't feel right. It highlights that the product isn't simply cream and salt in its original form. One person who'd switched to a local farm butter put it simply, "I went back to a tub of Anchor Spreadable at my parents' house over Christmas and honestly couldn't believe how synthetic it looked compared to what I'd been eating. The colour additive just makes it look cheap to me now." The spreadable versions exist entirely for our convenience. Soft from the fridge, easy to spread on a slice of Hovis granary without tearing it apart. That's understandable, but there are ways to achieve that without resorting to artificial colouring. And some brands on our good list manage it just fine. Anchor's block butter, buy it. Anchor Spreadable, leave it on the shelf. Number 4, Clover. Clover is one of the UK's biggest selling spreads. It's been on British tables for decades. The branding is cosy and farmyard warm, all rolling hills and traditional imagery, and that's exactly the problem. While it is correctly labelled and regulated as a spread, the branding and dairy-focused imagery can blur the distinction for us shoppers. It isn't butter by legal definition, but the packaging and positioning often encourage it to be viewed as a direct butter equivalent. Clover is not butter, it is not close to butter. It is a spread made from a blend of vegetable oils, sustainable palm and rapeseed, with some buttermilk in it. That's the dairy connection they're exploiting. Buttermilk, around 20% of it. The rest is oils, water, salt, and then the ingredients that should give you pause. Natural flavouring and colour from carotenes. They've added flavouring to something being marketed as a butter-adjacent dairy product. What flavour are they adding? Presumably the buttery taste it doesn't naturally have because it's mostly vegetable oil. Ask yourself what Clover actually is, and the answer is a heavily processed vegetable oil spread with a small amount of dairy, artificial colouring, and added flavouring designed to simulate the taste of something it fundamentally isn't. The reviews reflect a dawning realisation for people who bother to look closely. One comment online caught the mood perfectly. Genuinely thought I was doing something reasonable buying Clover over margarine. Looked at the ingredients properly last week. Palm oil is literally the second ingredient. I feel a bit conned if I'm honest. It's worth noting that natural flavouring on a butter label is a significant red flag. Real butter doesn't need its flavour engineered in. If it tastes of butter, it's because it was made from cream the traditional way. If it needs flavouring added, it wasn't. Number 3, Bertolli spread. The Bertolli brand built its reputation on olive oil. Italian heritage, Mediterranean diet, all the positive associations that come with olive oil as an ingredient. And yes, when you look at the Bertolli original spread, olive oil is indeed in there, 10% of it. The rest? Rapeseed and palm vegetable oils, water, salt, buttermilk, the small dairy component they use to claim some connection to traditional dairy products, and then the additives, emulsifiers in the form of mono and diglycerides of fatty acids and lecithin, natural flavorings, and vitamins A and D. Those added vitamins are worth dwelling on. Vitamins A and D occur naturally and abundantly in real grass-fed butter. A cow that eats well produces milk rich in both. You don't need to add them because they're already there. When a product needs to have its vitamins artificially added back in, we feel it tells you something important about what was potentially lost during all that industrial processing. The emulsifiers are doing the work of keeping water and fat from separating, which they naturally want to do when you blend them together in a factory. Real butter doesn't need emulsifiers because it isn't an engineered mixture of incompatible substances. The need for emulsifiers is, in itself, evidence of how far from real food this product has travelled. One food blogger who ran a taste test captured it well. Spread Bertolli on a couple of Ryvita crisp breads next to some actual butter, and the difference is stark. The Bertolli has this slightly waxy, artificial aftertaste. Not unpleasant exactly, but definitely manufactured. The olive oil is there, sort of, but it tastes like a suggestion of olive oil rather than the real thing. The Mediterranean positioning is clever marketing, but 10% olive oil in a vegetable oil and emulsifier spread is not a typical Mediterranean diet. Number 2, Flora Original. Flora has been in British fridges since the 1960s. It was positioned from the start as the heart-healthy choice, lower in saturated fat, better for your arteries, the responsible modern alternative to butter. And for decades, that positioning worked. Whole generations were raised being told that Flora was the healthy option. The science on that has shifted considerably, but Flora hasn't adjusted its image to match. It's still sitting there with its green packaging and its health-forward associations, while the ingredient list reads like a manufacturing specification sheet. Flora Original contains rapeseed and sunflower plant oils, water, coconut fat, salt, plant-based emulsifier in the form of lecithin, faba bean preparation, natural flavorings, and vitamin A, faba bean preparation. That's in there to give it something approximating the protein structure of dairy. There is no dairy in Flora at all, which is fine for those who need it, but Flora isn't primarily marketed as a dairy-free product. It's marketed as a spread positioned against butter without being anything like butter. The natural flavorings appear again here because without them, a blend of vegetable oils in water would taste of nothing, or of raw oil, not of the creamy, slightly sweet flavor we associate with spreading fat. One commenter spoke for many when they said, "My mum bought Flora my whole childhood because she thought it was better for our hearts. Now I read the ingredients and think we replaced actual food with coconut fat, faba beans, and artificial flavoring. How is that better for anything?" That's the real betrayal of Flora. It isn't that it's particularly harmful. It may well be fine. It's that it was sold to the British public as a health-conscious choice over real butter, when what it actually is a highly industrially processed product with a longer ingredient list than a ready meal. Number 1, any reduced fat butter spread. Before we get to the good news, the worst offender isn't one specific brand, it's a category, and you'll find versions of it from almost every major label. The reduced fat butter spread. Take the Tesco 30% less fat buttery spread as a representative example, because the ingredient list is extraordinary. Ready? Water, rapeseed oil, palm kernel oil, salt, emulsifiers, that's 2 of them, mono and diglycerides of fatty acids, and polyglycerol polyricinoleate, reconstituted buttermilk at 0.5%, a preservative, potassium sorbate, flavoring that contains milk, an acidity regulator, citric acid, a color, beta-carotene, vitamin D. 12 ingredients in butter. Real butter has 2, cream and salt. That's genuinely all it needs. What you're buying when you purchase a reduced fat spread is an engineered food product that has had its flavor, color, texture, and mouthfeel laboriously reconstructed through industrial chemistry. You've taken cream out, replaced it with water and cheap oils, then spent considerable effort and expense making it vaguely resemble the thing you removed. And why? Because fat has calories, and we've been conditioned for 50 years to believe that fat is the enemy. But the fat in real butter is natural, whole, and carries vitamins and flavor with it. The engineered low-fat approximation has none of those things and requires a small chemistry set to hold itself together. A nutritionist's comment online said everything that needs to be said about this category. If you're trying to eat less fat, just use less butter. Use real butter and use a thinner layer. Don't replace food with a science project. The 30% less fat on the packaging means nothing when the product itself is no longer food in any recognizable sense. Spread real butter on your crumpets, a little less of it if you like, but don't buy this, the one's worth buying. Number 5, Lurpak block butter. We're not here to tell you to spend a fortune. Not everyone can or wants to seek out artisan producers, and that's completely fine. Lurpak's block butter, the classic in the blue foil, is proof that a mainstream supermarket product can still be the real thing. The ingredients: butter from milk, lactic culture, and salt. That lactic culture is the key detail. Lurpak is what's called a cultured butter. The cream is fermented slightly before churning, which gives it that distinctive, clean, slightly tangy flavour that sets it apart from most British butters. It's the Danish tradition, and it works. There are no emulsifiers, no colours, No added flavorings, no preservatives, just cream that has been cultured and churned the traditional way. Lurpak costs more than own brand spreads and significantly more than Flora or Clover. But you are buying a product with 3 natural ingredients rather than 12 industrial ones. The price difference is not corporate greed, it's the cost of doing things properly. One reviewer online nailed it. I know Lurpak gets a lot of stick for the price, but try spreading it on a decent slice of sourdough bloomer and then tell me a tub of Flora is the same thing. It's not even close. This tastes like something from a kitchen. That stuff tastes like something from a factory. The spreadable versions from Lurpak are also broadly fine. They add rapeseed oil for softness, but without the artificial colouring and flavouring that compromise other brands' spreadable ranges. But the block is the purest expression of what Lurpak is. And if you're going to spend real money on butter, spend it on the block. Number 4, Yeo Valley Organic Salted Butter. Yeo Valley has built its entire identity on doing things the way they should be done. They're organic, they're British, and they're consistently one of the most trustworthy names in British dairy. Their salted butter is exactly what it claims to be. Organic, unsalted butter from milk and salt. That's it. No asterisks, no small print, no E numbers. The organic certification means the cows are on pasture-based diets without synthetic pesticides on their feed, which matters for the quality and nutritional content of the milk. Butter from genuinely well-raised, grass-fed cows has higher levels of beneficial fatty acids, including conjugated linoleic acid and omega-3s. It also has that deeper yellow color that comes from natural beta-carotene in fresh grass. No artificial color required because the color is there already. The flavor is noticeably cleaner and more complex than most supermarket butters. Melted on a warm Warburton's crumpet, it pools into the holes and delivers a richness that you simply don't get from processed spreads. We started buying Yeo Valley when we started trying to reduce ultra-processed foods in the house. I'll be honest, I expected it to taste the same as everything else. It doesn't. It genuinely tastes more alive somehow. Hard to describe, richer. That captures it well. Real food from properly raised animals tastes different because it is different. Number 3, Kerrygold, the Irish. They know how to look after their cattle. Ireland's mild, wet climate and long growing seasons mean grass almost all year round, and cows that are on good pasture produce milk with a richer fat content and deeper flavour than cows eating supplementary grain. Kerrygold makes that advantage visible every time you open a packet. The colour is genuinely golden, not artificially coloured, not enhanced. That's just what butter from well-grazed Irish cows looks like. When you see that depth of yellow, you're looking at beta-carotene from real grass. The salted block contains butter from milk and salt, 1.8% salt, minimum 80% fat. Nothing else. No lactic cultures, no added colours, no flavourings. It's a simpler product than Lurpak, but the quality of the base ingredient, that rich, slightly grassy Irish cream, more than compensates. Kerrygold is also notably good for baking. The higher fat content means better lamination in pastry and a more complex flavour in cakes. Generations of Irish home bakers have known this. The rest of the UK is catching up. One baker spoke enthusiastically online. Changed from supermarket own brand to Kerrygold for my shortbread, and the difference was immediate. More flavour, better texture, crumbles the way it should. It costs more, but I'm using it to cook with. You taste every penny. Spread on a toasted slice of Kingsmill thick white, and it's simple, perfect. Don't overthink it. Number 2, Country Life British Salted Block. Country Life is the quietly proud one on this list. No artisan story, no small herd of heritage breed cows, no Michelin-starred chef endorsements. Just proper British butter from British cream, made simply, sold honestly. Ingredients: butter from milk and salt. 1.8% salt. That's it. It's British cream, which means the flavour is mild and clean rather than the more complex tangy notes you get from cultured butter. For many people, that mildness is exactly what they want, especially for cooking, where you want the butter to enhance rather than compete. There's something quietly admirable about a mainstream British brand that has simply not bothered to add anything unnecessary. While competitors have been adding colours and emulsifiers and natural flavourings to give their inferior products the appearance of quality, Country Life has just kept making butter. It works brilliantly on a thick slice of seeded batch loaf, the kind you'll find in the in-store bakery section at any major supermarket. The mild, creamy flavour lets the bread itself come through rather than dominating it. I know it's not exciting, but I find Country Life genuinely reliable. It never varies. It tastes like proper British butter every single time. Nothing fancy, nothing hidden, just does exactly what it says on the box. And sometimes that's exactly what you want from food. Number 1. Fen Farm Bungay Butter. Here's where we step into different territory altogether. If the previous 4 entries have shown you that real butter is entirely achievable and doesn't require a specialist search, Fen Farm Bungay Butter shows you what butter can become when someone truly cares. Fen Farm Dairy in Suffolk is home to a small hand-picked herd of Montbéliard cows, an ancient French breed originally from the Jura Mountains, prized for the quality and protein content of their milk. The cream is cultured while still warm, left overnight, and then churned the following day. The whole thing is made with raw, unpasteurized cream, which means nothing has been heated, nothing has been sterilized, and nothing of what makes that milk remarkable has been destroyed in processing. The result at the time of writing is the only cultured raw milk butter currently made in the UK. It carries the flavour of the Suffolk pastures those cows graze on. It carries the character of the Montbéliard milk. Complex, creamy, high in protein with small, evenly distributed globules of butterfat. And it carries the slightly tangy, intensely buttery notes that come from the traditional Normandy lactic cultures used in its production. This is not supermarket butter. Bungay butter has a shelf life of a couple of days. It needs to be kept cold. You'll find it at some specialist delicatessens, farm shops, and online. It's not sitting next to the cathedral city in Tesco. But for a special occasion, or simply as a genuine education in what butter actually is, nothing widely available in this country comes close. Try it on a proper rye bread, the kind from Waitrose or a good delicatessen, dense and slightly sour. The complexity of the bread and the complexity of the butter work together in a way that makes you understand, possibly for the first time, why food writers get so excited about something as apparently simple as butter on bread. One person described eating it for the first time like this: "I felt slightly embarrassed by how good it was. It's butter. How is butter making me stop and think? But it tasted of cream and grass and something almost floral I couldn't identify, and I sat there eating Ryvita with butter on it like it was a course in a restaurant. My partner thought I'd lost the plot. Worth every penny." You won't eat this every day, but you should eat it at least once because it completely resets your understanding of what you've been settling for. The difference between the two sides of this list isn't really about cost, it's about formulation and positioning. Clover, Flora, and reduced fat spreads are usually cheaper than traditional block butters like Kerrygold or Country Life, and they're clearly labelled as spreads, but they're also marketed and presented as direct butter alternatives, designed to deliver a similar taste, texture, and everyday use. In reality, they're formulated products with a very different ingredient base from traditional butter made simply from cream and salt. In essence, they are very different to butter. Real butter is cream and salt. Anything that departs significantly from that is something else, and it should say so on the label clearly, rather than relying on decades of brand recognition and nostalgic packaging to pass itself off as something it isn't. Read the labels, check the ingredient count, and if your butter contains emulsifiers, flavorings, or artificial colors, remember, real butter doesn't need any of those things. It never has.